And welcome back to the program from Cairo, where night falls very rapidly here. Next on our agenda, we are going to talk to a young woman, Shahira Amin, who caused quite a wave when she resigned her position as an anchor during the uprising. Shahira, thank you so much indeed for joining me. We want to talk to you as a prominent woman in this revolution to see what you think now that the Islamist candidate has won. Is that a worry for women like you?
I see it as a victory for the revolution, Christian. I invalidated my vote because I didn't think that either of the candidates really stood for our revolution, you know, for the values.
Then how can this be a victory?
Because it's a change. We wanted a secular civil state. Of course, Mr. Shafi is a military man. He's a former Air Force commander, the last Prime Minister under Mubarak. So it would have been an extension of the military dictatorship, an extension of the corrupt regime. Mr. Morsi is not a secularist, he's a conservative Islamist, but yet he is our first civil president, and that is what makes all the difference.
But what happens if suddenly you, Shahira, are forced to wear the veil, for want of another example?
I know for sure that he's not going to ask Egyptian women to wear the headscarf. He's already allayed our fears by saying that he will be the ruler of all Egyptians, Christians and Muslims, that he will protect the rights of minorities, including the rights of women, and I believe that this is what he will do.
It's quite encouraging to hear the policy director, Ahmed Dave, just tell me that one of his first actions is going to be to name vice presidents, which will include a woman and a Christian, in other words, minorities. That gives you encouragement?
Very much so. And he said that he will no longer be affiliated with the Muslim Brotherhood. The Muslim Brotherhood has reformed Christian. It's become more moderate, unlike the ultra-conservative Salafists. We have to draw the line and make that distinction. And I am really not concerned. But from today, I join the opposition camp, and I tell Mr. Morsi, we will have our eyes on you, we'll be watching you closely, and we'll hold you to account.
Which opposition?
I want him to keep his promises, so I will be, you know, looking out and making sure that he does fulfill these pledges.
Well, to that end then, are you concerned about the Constitutional Committee? We know it's all been disbanded, we don't know how it's going to be re-stood up, but certainly there was not that many women on the original Constitutional Committee, and that was pretty much dominated by the Islamists in Parliament.
Absolutely. That was very disappointing indeed to see how women have been sidelined and marginalized since the revolution. And my biggest concern, Christian, is the fact that SCAF, the Supreme Council of the Armed Forces, wants to continue to stay in control, pulling the strings from behind. Had we had Shafi, you know, we would have had the men in uniform up front. We still have the men in uniform, but pulling the strings, they want veto power over the drafting of the new constitution. They've imposed martial law. They've guaranteed, you know, sweeping legislative and budgetary powers to shield them from, you know, their budget from scrutiny and not.
So how do you think the chess game now, the political chess game, is going to play out between SCAF and the Muslim Brotherhood?
It's going to be a tug of war with the people of Egypt in the middle. I just hope that the people of Egypt will stand together, close their ranks and stand behind Mr. Morsi, because he does need that support. And he is our hope for change.
And as Ahmed Dave said, and as Mr. Morsi has said, so certainly his supporters, the revolution isn't over, it continues. How do you think, you know this place so well, how do you think the military is going to respond to a continued sit-in in Tahrir Square, for instance?
They've already made clear that they're going to take firm action with the protesters in Tahrir, but on the other hand, I don't blame the activists in Tahrir. They're there for a very good cause. We have a president who has very limited powers. SCAF has made sure of that, and they want to stay there until they make sure that Mr. Morsi does have, you know, some power to enforce change.
Shahira, are you concerned by some of the stories we hear about wanting to reduce the young girls' marriage age, wanting to decriminalize female genital mutilation?
Over the last year and a half, Christian, Parliament, the Islamist-dominated Parliament, performed rather poorly, and we did hear talk about bringing down the marriage age for girls, also taking away the right of women to divorce. Now, these are gains that we've made that we hope to build on. There are lots of strong women out there willing to fight the fight, you know, and not allow these gains to be taken away. Mr. Morsi, you know, I worry because during his campaign, he said the Quran is my constitution. And this worries me because what I'd like him to do is divorce religion from politics. We can only move forward when, you know, religion is religion and politics is politics.
And he has, of course, resigned from the Muslim Brotherhood, probably as some kind of gesture in that regard. I wonder what you think when we look over the Nile and all the glittering lights.
When I see these sailboats with their flickering lights and I hear the music and the belly dancing, I think we're all right, and I'm looking forward to a bright future and lots of good things happening.
Shahira, Amin, thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you, Christian.
And more on our historic coverage of this election from Cairo when we return. But first, take a look at these pictures. From a vilified regime ousted by a popular uprising to a democratically elected president. How things have changed down there in Tahrir Square in the last 18 months. We'll be right back.